Hi everyone, so today we are going to learn Unit 9, which is I have and I've got. So these two actually means the same thing, and let's look at some example. Okay, so for I, we, you, and they, you will use have. He, she, and it, you'll use has. Or you could say I, we, you, and they, you use have got. He, she, and it, you use has got. So have got and has got, you can put it into short form. So how you make it into a short form is that I have got will become I, take away the HA, so it'll be apostrophe VE, so I've got. Okay? And then for he, she, and it will be he has got. You will take away the HA, so it will become he's got. Alright? So he apostrophe S got. So this is how you use I've got or he's got. Alright, so let's take a look in this example. She says, I've got a headache. So I have and I've got, it is used to represent the possession, something that you have or you own. Okay, so let's take a look. First example we have, I have blue eyes, or I've got blue eyes. Tom has two sisters, or Tom has got two sisters, or Tom's got two sisters. Right? This is the short form. Our car has 4 doors, or our car has got 4 doors. Sarah isn't feeling well. She has a headache, or she's got a headache. They like animals. They have a horse, 3 dogs, and 6 cats. Or they've got a horse, 3 dogs, and 6 cats. Okay, so all these are or, which means you can use either I have or I've got any way you want. Whichever way you're comfortable with, you can use. Most of the time, people use I have. Okay, but sometimes if you want to use I've got, you can go ahead. There's no right or wrong. So how do you use it in a negative way? You will say I don't have. So I don't have. This is I do not have. Right? Remember don't is from do not. Okay? So it's either I don't have, he or she doesn't have, or I haven't got, he, she, and it hasn't got. Okay? So it's either don't, doesn't with have, or haven't, hasn't with got. So one thing to take note is if you use don't and doesn't, you cannot use has. Alright, you have to use have. So I don't have. It doesn't have. But for he, she, and it, if you use hasn't, then it'll be got. Okay? So this one you have to remember. Alright, so let's look at the example. I don't have a car, or I haven't got a car. They don't have any children, or they haven't got any children. It's a nice house, but it doesn't have a garden, or it hasn't got a garden. Amy doesn't have a job at the moment, or Amy hasn't got a job. Okay? So how do you put those into questions? Same thing, it will be do you have? Have you got? Alright, have you got? So you can either say, do you have something something? Does she have something something? So remember, do and does, you will use have. Okay, or have you got something? Has she got something? Okay, so do, does, or have and has. So let's look at the example. Do you have a camera? No, I don't. Or, have you got a camera? No, I haven't. So let's take a look over here. If the person who is asking you the question is using the word do, then when you answer, you have to answer with the word do or don't. Okay? If someone asks you, do you have a car? It's a bit weird if you answer them with no, I haven't, because they ask you with do. So for example, have you got a camera? No, I haven't. Okay? Does Helen have a car? Yes, she does. Or, has Helen got a car? Yes, she has. Over here, what kind of car does she have? Or, what kind of car has she got? How many children do they have? Or, how many children have they got? Alright, but if you are just using this to ask questions or to talk or to write a very simple email or letter, I would recommend just using the first one. So do and have, does and have, because it is easier for you to remember than using has got, have got. Okay, this one we don't really use it very often. It's not very common in English anymore. So you could mainly use do or does with have. Alright, so this is for this chapter. And now let's move on to Unit 10, was and were. So was and were, these are what you would call past tense. So past tense means things that happened in the past. That means it has happened already, maybe 5 minutes ago, 2 seconds ago, 10 years ago. Anything that has already happened is in the past, and we will use past tense. So was and were are essentially, you could think of them as the sister or brother of is and are. Remember, am is are, you learned that in the first chapter. So is and are, if you use is and are if things are happening right now in the present at this moment. But if you want to talk about something that already happened, you will use was and were. Alright, so look at this picture. This is what's happening now. Okay, it's present. But last night, this was what was happening. So let's read the example. Now, Robert is at work. At midnight last night, he wasn't at work. He was in bed. He was asleep. Alright, so when you're talking about now, you will use is. But the moment you're talking about anything that was in the past, at midnight last night, which means it happened already, alright, last night, then you will use all past tense. So this is a past tense, this is past tense, this is past tense. Alright? So at midnight last night, he wasn't at work. He was in bed. He was asleep. So remember, am and is present. If you want to talk about the past, it will become was. So I am tired. This is what's happening right now. I am tired. But if you want to talk about the past, you would say, I was tired last night. Or you could say, I was tired yesterday. I was tired just now. Okay, you could add in a time to say when you were tired, but as long as the time is in the past, you will use was. All right. Where is Kate? That means you're asking where is she right now? Where is Kate? But if you want to ask where she was yesterday, you will say, where was Kate yesterday? All right, over here, the weather is good today. The weather was good last week. All right, every time you talk about the past, you will have to use past tense. Same thing for are is something that you use for present tense, but remember are you use when you're using I, you, we, and they. Right? So for past tense, you will use were. Okay? So one thing to take note, remember for I, because we will say I am, remember that when you use past tense, it will be I was. Okay? But for are, because you will say you are, then if you want to talk about past tense, you will say you were. So like this example, you are late. This is what you're saying right now. If you want to talk about the past, it will be you were late yesterday. Over here, they aren't here. Okay, this is right now. They aren't here. They weren't here last Sunday. All right, because last Sunday is past tense, you will say they weren't here last Sunday. So same thing, they're just combining all the chapters now. So for positive, remember, is I was, he was, she was, it was. Okay, we were, you were, they were. For negative, it'll be I was not, which will be wasn't. He wasn't, she wasn't, it wasn't. And this one will be we weren't, you weren't, they weren't. All right, or were not. And then for question, was I? Okay, or were you? All right. So the same thing as you've learned in chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. So the first 4 chapters is what you learn about present tense. So just remember, is becomes was, am become was, are becomes were. So as long as you remember that, you will be able to do this chapter very easily. All right, so let's look at the example. Last year, Rachel was 22. So she is 23 now. All right, so this year, she is 23. But last year, she was 22. When I was a child, I was scared of dogs. We were hungry after the journey, but we weren't tired. So this one you use past tense because you're talking about after. After means it's already done. Okay, after the journey. We were hungry after the journey, but we weren't tired. Over here, the hotel was comfortable, but it wasn't expensive. Okay. So, for example, this one over here, you'll say the hotel was comfortable, but it wasn't expensive. If you change these was and wasn't, and you'll say the hotel is comfortable, but it isn't expensive, it means that you are in the hotel right now, and you're talking about the hotel right now. But because you use was and wasn't, the hotel was comfortable, but it wasn't expensive. Because of the word was, the person listening can understand that what you're talking about already happened. It happened in the past. Okay? So next, was the weather nice when you were on holiday? Your shoes are nice. Were they expensive? Why were you late this morning? Okay? So just remember all these examples, and remember that if you use was and were, you're talking about things in the past. And then how do you do short answers to that? Very simple. Over here. All right, so yes, she was, it was, he was, I was. Yes, we were, you were, they were. Or no, I wasn't, no, we weren't. So same thing, it's just changing is to was, are to were. Okay? Were you late? No, I wasn't. Was Tom at work yesterday? Yes, he was. Were Sue and Steve at the party? No, they weren't. Alright, so that is all for these 2 chapters. They're very simple, but you need to be very, very familiar with the earlier chapters. The MSR, isn't, is not, are not. You have to be very, very comfortable and familiar with that. And if you are very clear of when to use those words, then this chapter is going to be very, very easy, because it's just simply changing is to was and are to were. Okay? Now let's just briefly look at some conversations today. So today we are talking about, can you say that again? Alright, which means, can you please repeat? I didn't hear you. Can you say it one more time? So over here, Luke says, hello. Hi, Stephanie. How are things at the office? Hi, Luke. How are you? Can you please stop and pick up extra paper for the computer printer? What did you say? Can you repeat that, please? Did you say to pick up ink for the printer? Sorry, the phone is cutting out. Can you hear me now? No, I need more computer paper. Listen, I'll text you exactly what I need. Thanks, Luke. Talk to you later. Thanks, Stephanie. Sorry, my phone has really bad reception here. Okay, so this happens quite often. So let's say you're on the phone and you are talking to your friend, and sometimes you cannot hear your friend properly, maybe because you have no connection. Sometimes you just can't hear what they're saying properly. So if you can't really hear what they're saying properly, you can say, you're cutting out. That means the words that they're saying is being cut. Imagine instead of a one straight line, a one straight sentence is being cut into pieces, so you can't really hear or understand them well. You're cutting out. Alright, another thing that you can say is talk to you later. Okay, talk to you later means it simply just means talk to you later. It's something like see you later, but on the phone you will say talk to you later. Okay, and reception is how we say the phone has no connection. Alright, so this is just another example of how you can tell someone if you're on the phone with them, oh, you're cutting out. That means you can hear them properly. Alright, so that is all for this week. Good luck with your homework, and I will see you next week.